Right. So it's another edition of Agric Inspire with Coach Chioma Perpetua. And you're all welcome. Today we'll be looking at a great topic, and that is goat rearing at home. Wow. Wow. How many of us know that we can actually rear goats at home? It's possible. We can rear our goats at home. Yes, we can make our own meat. We can rear the goat and have meat for homes. We can also rear goats and have something to sell and make extra income. So we're going to see how we do this. Okay, let's go. Join me as we take this ride. Uh-huh. So who is liking what he or she is seeing here? Wow. Now you're gonna tell me something. What's your favorite protein in meals? What's your favorite protein in meals? You can type it on the chat box. What's your favorite protein in meals? For me, I love goat. I don't know about another person. I love goat so much. So please, if you come in, just mute yourself so that we don't get distractions from the side. Okay? You can type your responses in the chat box and I will read it out. Aha. Aha. Somebody. Mr. Chris said goat meat is a bomb. I see why he's the first person to join this webinar. All right. Yes, I agree with you. Goat meat, the taste is something else. Okay, for me, goat meat is so sweet. And the taste is simply undescribable. I don't know about someone else. And the aroma is something else too. You know. And the last time I talked about rearing chicken was my best protein. But today, goat meat is my best protein. Okay, so you see that goat meat pepper soup. Somebody should not go and dream about this in the night. All right, what about this? Nkwobi, ishewu. How many of us love ishewu? Now, the point I was missing this ishewu, and I had to enter a restaurant and told them, please just give me ishewu. If you have not tested this, please go and try it. And I'm telling you, you will love it. Love it. And when you make your stew with goat meat, oh my, goat meat delicacies are something else. Now, if you have ever had a goat meat delicacy, just say, yes, I have. And you can describe your experience in the chat, okay? And these are many more are the reasons we're going to be talking about rearing goats at home. Yeah, rearing goats at home. Now, goats generally are just small ruminants that are reared in various parts of the world, including Nigeria. I am sure that a lot of us have seen goats maybe at home or when we go to our villages. Personally, I've seen goats in the urban area around where I live in town. Okay, despite how huge the whole area is, I was surprised to see goats moving around the area. Okay, goats also move around even in urban areas. Okay, and now when we talk about rearing goat is simply the practice of raising goats for various purposes. It could be for meat, it could be for milk, it could be for the leather purpose. Now, you can actually raise goats at home. Yes, and your purpose for raising goat could differ. It could be maybe you want to raise it for domestic purposes. Mommy Mercy say yes, I have, and it's really the best protein diet for her. Oh, I can relate completely, mommy. Yes. So we can rear goats at home, either for our personal, for family use, or for economic benefits. Okay, so we're going to look at why should we rear these goats? Because many people are like, why should I rear it? After all, I can just go to market, buy goat meat, or there are too many reasons why we need to rear goats. Now, like I've said before, products that can be derived from goats include the meats, which is what what most of us know. And of course, the unique taste of the goat meat is something that that is irresistible. If you have not eaten goat meat before, go and try it. Okay, the taste is irresistible. Do you know that we can get milk from the goat? Yes, we can get milk from goat. All the things we can get from cow, we can get from goat. So if you don't have the space, if you don't have the finance to buy a cow, or you can go for goats. You can begin to rear them, and then you can have access to very sweet, nourishing meat. You can actually have access. You can have access. You can get leather from it, and so many things like cheese, yogurt, sweet yogurt. You can really put yourself all right. I'm gonna mute Collins and make all right. So you can rear these things at home, and you'll be amazed at the kind of turnout you'll be getting when you decide to rear goats at home. You have a lot of benefits, economic benefits. You can decide to kill goats for celebrations, and you don't sweat at the money. And then the surplus, you can sell them. And believe me, there is huge potential for small-scale entrepreneurship in goat rearing. Okay, now when you rear goats, you have access to natural fertilizer. And the benefit of natural fertilizer cannot be overemphasized. Okay, in fact, goat rearing is something that can be looked into as a community, especially when you want to build joint businesses. Currently, there is a program that is being run in Imo State. They call it Okobi, One Kindred, One Business. Now, a group of people can come together and say, we want to rear goats and make good profit. I'm telling you, it is a very lucrative business. So as a community, you can come together to rear goats and make good income. Now, another reason we should rear goats is because of the educational opportunities. It encourages the understanding of animal behavior, and of course, it teaches responsibilities. You may not know what you are doing for your little ones. You may not even know what you're doing for yourself when you have some livestock at home, because you realize that I need to go and feed my livestock. I need to give it water. I need to give it food. Oh, it's not feeling well. You are learning responsibility. You are teaching the children at home responsibilities. So it's a huge education opportunity that we can actually access if we decide to begin to do this. But above all, if we're going to talk about food sufficiency, goat rearing is something we must look into. Okay, we mustn't depend on the importation of goat. We must begin to rear goat for ourselves so that we don't depend on others for our protein source. Now, in order to start rearing this goat at home, there are just 3 steps to take. Only 3, 1, 2, 3, simple. And what are these 3 simple steps? Number 1, you look at the breed. You select, okay, what am I going to do? How do I start? You look at the breed. What kind of breed do you want to rear? You select the appropriate breed that suits your choice. Okay, and now when you're rearing goat, you can start with like 6 to 10 goats on a subsistence scale if you're going to rear at home. Okay, and you're going to get like 1 male to 5 female, especially if you want to have the numbers increased. Okay, but if you're just after the meat, you can just go for all male or off male, whatever. Okay, but by all means, just start something. Okay, so the number 1 step is that you look at the breed. What kind of goats do you want to rear? Okay, we're going to look at the different breeds later. Second, you look at the environment. You need to create a suitable housing environment, whether fencing or use of pen, or loafing shades, or you just create a suitable housing environment. Okay, now when we talk about this, it's not as I know some of us are like, well, I don't have the space. Just calm down, okay? You get to learn more. But then goats need suitable housing environment. Okay, so that's the number 2 steps you look at. The first one is that you look at the breed. The second one is you look at the environment. And the third one, you look at how to care for them. You need to make plans to ensure proper care, nutrition, and health management. Okay. Now, we have talked about breed. How do you select an appropriate breed for your homestead? In selecting a breed for your homestead, what you just need to do is that you need to ask yourself, what are my needs? What are my preferences? Like, what do I need to rear goats for the meat? Is it for the milk? Is it for fiber? Is it because I want to have goats as a pet? You know, surprisingly, people rear goats for the purpose of pets. I know some persons are rear goats because they're carrying out research. Okay, that one is not rearing it for the meat. You just want to do a research. Okay, so you must define your purpose, and that your purpose will help you to select the appropriate breed you will need. Okay, now you look at the climate around you. Now you look at the available space, and you also look at your level of experience. And sincerely, no matter your level of experience, whether you've reared goat before or you have not reared goat before, you can start to rear goats. Okay. However, if you're starting new, you need to start with small quantities so that you can be able to manage them. Now, we talked about the breed. What are some of the breeds available in our environment? If you look at these pictures, you see this one. I'm sure a lot of us know this one here. The first one here, the A, and we call it B around here, okay? And the English name is West Africa Dwarf, okay? So if you are rearing goat, if you want to rear goat, you can decide, do I want to rear the West African Dwarf, okay? Remember your purpose. Are you rearing for meat? Or are you rearing for milk? Or are you rearing for fiber? Or are you rearing for the purpose of, you know, having something you can call a pet? Okay, so whatever it is, we tell you what to go for. This second picture here is a Sokoto red. This one usually has a lot of meat. So if you want to rear for meat, you can go for Sokoto red. Okay, the third one is Sahel. The fourth one is Alpine. Alpine is ideal if you are going for milk. Okay, if you want to make milk from your goats, you can go for Alpine. Okay. And now we have Spanish. Spanish is this one here, and we have another one called Sanin. In fact, there are a lot of goat breeds, but however, whatever goat breed you want to, you know, rear will depend on what, you know, your purpose is. All right. But by all means, while you are still yet to decide, you can just go to the market and get some goats and put in your goat stead and begin to rear them. Okay. All right, what are the common breeds in Nigeria? We've looked at some pictures of some goat breeds that are available. In Nigeria, the available ones are Sokoto Red. We've seen it in this picture here. This one is Sokoto Red. The B one is Sokoto Red. We also have West African long leg goats, okay, West African dwarf. All right, they are the same thing, just that the dwarf is shorter than the long leg old. Okay, all right, and then we have the Kanu Brown, the Bauchi type, okay, and lately we have the Kalahari Red. The Kalahari Red is originally imported from South Africa. Kalahari Red is a boar, like it's if you're rearing goats for meat, if you want to rear goats for meat, good meat, you can go for Kalahari Red. And you know, like we learned, it's imported from South Africa by the Federal University of Agriculture at Abeokuta. So currently we have Kalahari Red in Nigeria. The second factor we are looking at in creating a goatry in our homestead is the housing. Now, basically, there are two types of goat housing. Number one, the first one is fencing and shelter. Okay, I think I have a picture of that here. And the second one is pen. Okay, if you look at this picture, you see this is a picture of fencing and shelter. Okay, you see the goats outside, you have a fence around it that creates a kind of protection around it, and then it has a shelter behind it. And this me here, you know, trying to drag a goat in an outdoor setting kind of. Now there is a fence around here, and you can see the shelter where they can go in when it is late. But during the day, they come out and they graze in the environment there. Okay, so the first one we said is fencing and shelter. The second one is pen, goat pen. And now when you're talking about goat pen, this one is especially important for those who want to go into commercial goat production. Okay, when you're talking about goat pen, we have the concrete floor kind of pen, and we'll have the raised slated floor. Okay, let's look at it here. Now, this is the raised slated floor, okay, whereby you build the pen a little bit above the ground so that their waste go down once it is released. This one too is another one, so it's a bit sophisticated. We have more sophisticated ones too. As we go on, I'm going to show you. And this is the concrete floor. This one you build just like you have, you build a normal house, and then you can put a flooring material for them. For some persons may not put, but it's ideal to put. Now, why should we go for raised floor? Raised floor actually has advantage over concrete type of pen. Why? Because the concrete housing system comes with a lot of challenges. Okay, so if you are looking at rearing goat as a business, this may be of interest to you. Now, number one challenge of concrete housing system for goats is that it is expensive to build. Now, and that is because of the high cost of cement. We know what cement cost is now, okay? High cost of cement, high cost of concrete and blocks. Okay, and also the concrete system of housing goats is highly susceptible to goat diseases like foot rot, diarrhea, ticks, worms, pneumonia. And why is this so? It's so because, the environment is always damp. It's like the wee there, the poo there, and they still eat there and sleep there. It should be a breeding ground for a lot of infections. And so it may not be very, very healthy for goats to, stay on. But you see, the raised slated floor eliminates all of this by providing adequate ventilation, saving the farmer the additional cost usually incurred from treatment and medication. Someone says he can't hear me. Please, why can't I hear you? Is someone else having these problems? If you can hear me, say I can hear you.
I can hear you. Initially, I had
I can hear you.
Great.
My name is I can
hear you.
Great. Thank you so very much. Great. Thank you so very much. So the raised slated floor kind of housing for goats eliminates all of these problems. Okay, and then it saves the farmer the additional cost that may be incurred from treating, the goats and medications. And when you are using the raised slated floor for raising your goat, you are going to be reducing your running cost by up to 50%.
Yeah.
And so we have seen this picture. This picture is a picture of fencing and shelter. Okay, you just have your compound. If you have a space in your compound, for those of us who have spaces in our villages, you can actually do this. You can just get some goats, build a shanty kind of, structure, and then have some grasses around there. That's me planting grass in front of a goat house. Okay, so you can, if you don't have grasses, you can plant grasses around your goat tree, and then they can come around and begin to graze on them once the grasses are grown. Okay, so we have seen this picture, the picture of a raised slated floor. There are more modern raised slated floor, but if you're we're talking about homestead. So for homesteaders, you can easily get some sticks around. You can buy firewood and make something like this, You can buy firewood and just construct some. If you don't have money to buy planks and the rest of them, just buy firewood. And it doesn't have to be closely linked like this. Okay. Now, if you have the finance, you can buy some. You can use wire gauze to make this. This one was made with a wire gauze. So you can do something. You can rear your goats and you can have access to good quality milk. You can have access to, healthy meat. You can have access to a lot of things like leather. Okay, a lot of industries can actually come up again when we have enough goat production around us. Okay. Now we're going to talk about feeding and nutrition. This is the third factor we're going to be looking at when we are looking at starting our goats in homestead. Okay. Feeding and nutrition. Now the feeding of goats is relatively very cheap. Yeah, because their major feed is just grass. However, formulated feed could be compounded to enhance fattening. When you add your grains, okay, you could just add grains to the grass so as to enhance maybe their fattening. And then other things like tuber and root pills can be used also because they are herbivorous in nature. They eat these things. So instead of wasting them, you can get them for your goats. Now, when you have livestock around you, you find out that everything around you, there will be little or no waste in the house. So imagine that you harvested cassava from your farm and you peeled it, and instead of throwing away the back, you give them to your goats and it turns back to meat or milk. So it's amazing what can happen when we decide to begin to rear some of these things at home. Rearing goats is a beautiful experience. Okay, and you know what? Even in urban areas, you can rear your goats. I have friends who rear goats in urban areas, and you won't even know they have goats in their house. As long as the goats are not hungry, they won't cry. They won't cry. Okay, so just make sure they always have food. Make sure you always get grasses are everywhere. So why should your goat go hungry? And if they are not hungry, they won't cry. And every morning, if you are doing concrete kind of rearing goats, every morning you just come and sweep the place. Okay, or if it is a slated floor kind of rearing goat, every morning you pull out the waste from under and clean up and put them in the compost. It's very easy and nobody knows you are doing anything there, and the house is not smelled, the compound is not smelled, nobody perceives anything. So it's beautiful, and I'm wondering why we are not doing a whole lot of things. Our environment are just there lying idle. It's high time we started doing something. Please get a goat and start rearing. Get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10 goats. Imagine if everybody on this in this webinar is rearing at least 10 goats. Okay, how many are we here? Okay, we're over 10 persons. That's 100 goats. And that's actually, that means that we will not be buying like 100 goats from outsiders. Okay, and it's beautiful. And then we have enough of these things, around us. We have enough of it around us. Another factor we'll look at in rearing our goats is health management. Now, when it comes to health management, if you maintain good hygiene, a lot of the health challenges will not come up. However, because of some shortcomings, there are some common diseases that may be found in goats. Some of those diseases are foot rot. Okay, this occurs when the floors are damp, okay, or when they are grazing over wet soils. And actually, this can lead to lameness. So you just observe, are the floors of your goat house damp? You can put some materials on it, some dry grasses on them so that it can absorb some moisture. Or you can decide to raise the housing for them, because if you allow it for some time, it could lead to foot rot. Another disease that is prevalent in goat rearing is pneumonia, and this affects mostly the young ones. This happens due to over open spaces. Now, symptoms of pneumonia could include mucus, discharge from the eyes, nose, fever, respiratory difficulty, and so on. So when you have your goat and you see symptoms like this, just quickly call the vet doc. other diseases are fleas, diarrhea. These things can be controlled. Okay. In fact, prevention, I believe in preventing than in curative medicine. Okay. So, like diarrhea is caused by contaminated feed. So you just ensure that, things are neatly done. Okay. So that you don't cause secondary problems for your goats. Now, when you get your goats to your farm, the first thing you need to do is to do the necessary vaccination and deworming process and everything. Because that's me. When we brought goats into our farm, sometime in Songhai, we're going through this process where deworming and doing the whole medical check to ensure that every disease they came with is actually minimized. Okay. And this is me here also doing the necessary medical stuff on the goats. I think they have some tick, and so we're using some chemicals to remove the tick from their body. This was when they were newly brought into the farm. Okay. If this is making sense to you, say, this is making sense to me.
Okay.
And how many of us are going to start rearing our goats after this webinar?
I will start.
Great, 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 great. Oh, great, great.
I think I will start immediately too.
Great. I'm excited.
I'm encouraged.
I'm excited to hear this. Now, in conclusion, seriously, there's no hard and fast rule on goat rearing. Just ensure to put all the following factors in consideration when setting up your goatry, either for subsistence case, whether you're using for home or for commercial purposes. Okay, so you could, when you want to start rearing your goat, just look at the space you have. Okay, there's this place. Oh, didn't I bring this picture here? Okay, look at this picture. This is actually a garage. This place is a garage that was converted to a goat house. So if you have a garage that you are not, you can decide to park your car somewhere else and use the garage and raise your goats. Okay, so just do a little construction. You can put wire gauze around or just put wood around and stock it with like 5-6 goats. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. Okay, and it's very easy. Within 8 to 12 months, you have a mature goat. You have a mature goat to actually either to eat at home, celebrate with friends and family, or sell and make good extra income. Okay, so there's no hard and fast rule about it. Just ensure you have adequate space. You get the bedding materials. They're everywhere. You get your grasses. I think you can also use sawdust. But just put a bedding material so that the floor is not too wet. Okay, ensure you have good water supply, and these things are not hard to source. If there's a gallon that is not in use, you just cut it open, put your water there, ensure it has good ventilation, okay, so that diseases don't thrive. Okay, then ensure that there is natural light. You don't need to do all these sophisticated electrical connections. Just ensure that sunlight comes in, epiphanol. Okay, and then security, because there are a lot of theft around. Okay, ensure good security. Okay, then finally, the only way to start is to do what? Start. That's the only way to start. You can't analyze it all. The only way to start is to start. Don't be afraid to make the mistakes. Just start. Okay, and I'm glad that a lot of persons here are going to start after now. Thank you very much. I made this webinar as short as possible so that we can also have our weekends to ourselves. Do we have any question to ask? Any question? If you have any question, just unmute yourself and ask.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very, very much for this insightful, eye-opening webinar. So straight to the point, my question is there any particular breed among all these breeds you mentioned? Is there any particular one that is environmental compatible? Like, is there anyone that can do well here in the East and may not be able to do well in the North or in Abuja or this up North? Like, if I'm about to start, in Abuja, what breed should I get?
Okay.
That's my question.
Okay, great. Are there breeds that can do well in the east and not do well in the north? I don't want to believe that. All the breeds can do well anywhere. Though there are breeds that are found mainly in the north and there are breeds found mainly in the east. So if you want to rear the breeds that are in the north, you can bring them here and rear them. Just give them normal food. Like you can add, like the northerners add grains to the feed they give them. So find out the right feed they take. Okay, if they're not taking our grasses, find out the kind of grass they like to take, and then add grains to it. So all breeds can do well anywhere, depending on choice. Okay. Have I been able to answer your question?
Yes, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir. Any other question? Does anyone have any other question to ask?
Let me ask one, please.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Chinedum. Do you have any case of a successful crossing of the West African wild goat that is common in the rainforest with the one you call the one from the north, the Sahelian stock? Do you have any successful cases of any crossbreeding that you know, and how well is done? Would that be an option, for somebody who wants to do getting involved with goat rearing? Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah. It's a privilege to have you here, Prof. Majuba. Thank you so very much for being here. All right, and you talked about are there cross breeds, right? Yes, you can cross them. Okay, so you can do the experiment in your place. I have a friend who have a goat stand, and he does crosses. So you have mixed breeds of these goats. So you can get a foreign one, and you can cross it with the local one, and then you have a mixed breed. Okay, yes, it's possible. It's possible.
Okay, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
try that.
Thank you so much, sir. All right. Any further question? Oh, great. Infinix X669 says he or she will start soon also. Please start immediately. Start immediately. You can start tomorrow. You can start next week. And how many of us have started preparing our soil for cropping this season? The rains are here. How many of us are excited? I have tilled the whole of my home garden, and I'm preparing to cultivate. In fact, I'm so very excited to know that the rains are here. How many of us are too? So we should be able to plant something. We should be able to rear something. Okay. Mr. Mekem, welcome. Glad you are here too. Say, how much is a goat? How much is a goat? The current goat price in the market is between 50,000 to between 50 to 500,000, depending on the size. Okay. So rearing goat is actually a lucrative business. So if you decide to rear goat, you can make good income. Barrister Ukebu is raising his hand. Kindly ask your question, sir. You're welcome, sir. Good to have you here. Barrister Ukebu, your hands are raised. Can you ask your question?
Yeah, can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My question is, I need to know whether it will be possible to do a crossbreeding between goats from the north and that one from the east. The ones from the east. Whether if that is if it's possible, and if it's possible, can it multiply fast?
Yep.
than the species we have already in the southern part of Nigeria.
Yes.
In our place,
yes.
the east.
It's
Because it appears the one.
It's very possible to have crossbreeds.
And give high yield, multiply fast.
Yes, you can crossbreed the northern kind of goats and the ones we have here, and then you have a mixed breed. Okay, because the one in the north, I think, have more meat than the one we have here. Okay, but the one we have here is sweeter. Okay, so you can have a crossbreed. Very possible. A lot of persons are doing that. Okay, so yes, you can. You can. So you can start it. So you can decide to have your own goat stead, get the goats from the north and get the goats from our side, and put them together, and we'll have a good outcome. So we'll have a goat that is big and sweet. Right.
Okay,
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
All right, Theodore, you can ask your question. You can ask your question.
A question. Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you for the teaching. I have learned a lot.
Thank you.
Now, what I want to ask is, tell us more about the handling of the younger ones. Maybe what they can be fed to actually sustain them. They will not die at those young age before you know that they have started taking in the grasses, and it is good for them. So that it will not be when they give birth to, we can't handle them very well, and you see them dying at that younger stage. In as much as the mothers are there to serve the milk, what else can we do? Thank you.
Okay. Concerning handling the younger ones, first of all, you need to ensure that the house is clean. If you put the right measures in place, you find out that there is minimal risk, because most times what happens is that when this goat give birth, the environment is a bit messy, and that's why it's advised that you have a separate pen for them, and it's advised to have a slated pen, a raised pen, okay, so that the waste is not there with them, because these younger ones, they are still young and they are prone to a lot of diseases. So if they are not in a good environment, they easily get these diseases. So you ensure the environment is clean, and then once the goat gives birth to these younger ones, you can just invite a vet dog to give the necessary medication. Just like when we give birth, we give them immunization and the rest of them. So also, when the goats give birth, you give them the necessary attention. Okay, quickly, let me look at the question of Mr. Meckham. So what amount would you recommend to start with? Say 1 male and 3 female. Well, I think with 100,000 you can get that. Okay, you can get that. Also, what is the gestation period? The gestation period for goat is between is about 150 days. All right. If I'm not mistaken, I'm going to check that again. And how many baby goats are born on average? On average, 1 to 4. I think I've seen goats that gave birth to about